Hey folks, I'm Mike. Do you hate ads? I hate ads. You know what I like? Patreon.com/inkdependence. It keeps this blog ad-free. Hey folks, I'm Mike, and this is Ink Dependence. We're doing a Q&A today, so that is your Q's and my A's. First question, written down here in my nice little Mormon Septicolor A5 orange notebook. Try one of these out. If you haven't, they're very good. Sir Jerkface asks, why do you hate ads so much? Well, three kind of big reasons. One is that I don't like watching ads on YouTube channels. In fact, I like that so little that I actually pay for YouTube Red now, so that when Audrey and I are watching Let's Plays or whatever in the evenings, sometimes I don't want to watch ads. I'd rather just pay $10 to YouTube and they get rid of the ads for me. I don't like them. Secondly, that is that they don't give me any control over what ads would go on my content. So I would be posting content on, I don't know, pens and inks and stuff like that, paper and whatnot. This silly dog right here might show up. Scriggles, you want to get my lap? Come here. There we go. I have this silly dog. This one right here. She might show up in a video. I don't know what they're going to put on my content. And then they don't tell me how they're going to pay me for it. So they don't tell me what the ads are going to be. They don't tell me what the pay is going to be. Oh, thank you, scraggly dog. They don't tell me a lot of things, and so I don't like that. That's number two. Number three is I'd rather just use Patreon. Patreon.com/inkdependence it gives you a way to pay me directly for the things that you appreciate. So if you like my pen and ink reviews or these Q&As or whatever it is you see on the channel, and you think to yourself, you know, I know this is free content, but I really like what Mike's doing here. I'd like to throw him a buck or $10 or, I don't know, $1,000 a month. Well, look, I'm not going to tell you what to do with your money unless, whatever. If you want to do that, that's awesome. And that means that you have said that I'm worthwhile, basically, and that you would like my content to continue. Ah, yes, you're a sweet little dog. So that's why I don't do ads, and that's why I don't want to have ads on my channel, except for patreon.com. That one I'll put an ad for, but I'm doing it with my face. Radil asks, what colors work well together for markup, titles, body, etc.? Well, I'll show you. I think the most important thing for this, and the biggest part of the answer, is that it doesn't matter what the colors are as long as they're contrasting. So when I do my notes, here are some notes. You'll see that I use a dark color for most of the body text. This is for primary source notes, these kinds of things. I highlight parts that I want to address in class or that I think are important or interesting. And then in a different color, I will put some notes for discussion, like main ideas of the paper, what the thing was about, that kind of stuff. I'll make little stars and stuff in the margins. I don't do so much with titles and stuff. Those I'll just use different underlines or a box or little brackets or something. But that's, I think the most important thing is not the color combination, but the contrast. So I'll use black text with red notes, or blue text with red notes, or I don't know, brown text with bright green notes or something like that. Something to differentiate the parts of the text. In some cases, I'll actually have one color for what the author is saying, another color for what his critics are saying about that thing and the things that he's responding to, and then a third color for my notes about those notes. So it gets a little convoluted maybe, but with the different colors you can totally tell what you're doing. Second part of that question from Radil is, what moral theory do I lean towards and why? I mean, it's a long, convoluted path of my moral theory journey, but I think I don't know, I vacillate between consequentialism of some kind and a type of virtue ethics, I think is where I end up. Because I really think that the consequences of your action matter, and that probably they matter the most. But also I think there's something really good about this theory of virtue ethics, which says something like, do the best thing you can, be the best kind of you, right? I think that's super important and good for modern society and stuff. So virtue-y, but also kind of consequentially, I don't know, I'm in between. There are more things that I am not. All right, let's see. Mike Ulrich asks, do you ever think about finishing your PhD? You may or may not know I'm a philosophy professor, but I don't have a PhD. I have a master's. I also have a ton of other postgrad work. I was more or less ABD as a professor, as a PhD candidate. I didn't finish my dissertation. I didn't write a dissertation, but I did I don't know, an extra 6 years of coursework or something, and tons of teaching and all that stuff. And then I got this job teaching, and I said, I like this too much to go back to the PhD stuff. And anyway, so not really. It wouldn't make me a better teacher. It might make me capable of doing more administrative stuff because I want to have a PhD at the end of your name for administrative stuff. But that's the only thing that would make me go back and try to finish it. I don't even know what the logistics of that would be at this point. B Case asks, what was your best surprise in terms of cost versus performance? Um, there were a few. I mean, one, of course, is the TWSBI Eco. I think that is probably the biggest surprise. I wasn't expecting to like it. I kind of bought it because I was like, people on the blog will want to see it when it first came out. But that TWSBI Eco is legit a good pen. It's like 27, $28, depending on where you get it, I think. I maybe have seen it as low as 26 at one point, but I think about 28 is where it sits. A good variety of nib sizes. The find that I have is very nice. I use it a lot. It carries a lot of ink. It's a piston filler for $28. Great pen. Really surprised me. Also, this one, the Faber-Castell Loom. I was really surprised by this. In fact, I've got two of them. I got this sort of matte blue and silver one for Audrey, and then I kind of ended up using it a lot. And I also got a piano white one for myself. Both of these are in my possession right now, I think. So, yeah, I like that one a lot. It was kind of a big surprise. At about $40, it's a fantastic pen. Better than pens that are way more expensive in some cases. Let's see. Michael's Hobbies asks, where do you stand on the steel versus gold nib debate? Are there any steel nibs that are better than gold ones? There are totally steel nibs that are better than gold ones, and this is where I stand on that debate. Don't worry so much about what the nib is made of. Worry about your experience writing with it and what you like in the pen. There are plenty of steel nibs that are just as good or better than gold nibs. I'm actually looking for a particular one right now because I had it a little bit ago, and it's gone. Darn it. Aha. All right. And it's this one. This is a Levenger True Writer Select. I believe it's called like Mediterranean is the color scheme. That doesn't matter because we're talking about nibs. This is a great nib. This is a pen that was actually sent out to me for review by Levenger a million years ago. Check out my review on my site for this. I don't think I have a YouTube video. You'll have to go to inkdependence.com. I think it was before I was doing YouTube videos. And it's awesome. It's like $100 or something, but that steel nib is one of the best nibs I have, bar none. Certainly the best. Almost certainly the best factory nib. Some of my like SIG grinds and stuff like that are better, but this is a great nib. So I think it matters less what the nib is made out of and than how it performs. So there are great steel nibs, there are great gold nibs, there are also crappy versions of both. So, there you go. Let's see. RoboJim asks, do you think Irishizuku inks, it's Pilot Irishizuku inks, still deserve the high praise given how strong the competition has become? I think this is an answer or a question that has two sides. One is that, look, they've gotten a lot of praise because they're good inks, and they haven't gotten worse, and so like they should get the same amount of praise. However, the other part is a bit relative, so it's relative to the market that they're in. And I think when Irishizuku inks were first around and people were really attracted to those inks, it was because that bottle is gorgeous, and then the ink looks awesome sitting on a shelf or whatever. And it's a good way to bleach out your ink. Don't put your inks on a shelf like that. Nonetheless, it's beautiful, and they're good colors. I have to say though that I've never really been one to really praise an Irishizuku all that much. There are a few that I think are pretty awesome. There's a brown one I really like. I can't remember the name of it. Maybe Pretty Awesome is too strong. I don't know. I'm kind of wishy-washy. I haven't used one in a long time because I was disappointed by so many. It's just, as a brand, it's kind of okay. And at $28, they'd better be exceptional because Sailor comes in at about $18, and those are always, with the exception of like one or two, awesome. So I don't know. I don't think they deserve as much praise as they've been getting. In light of the competition. And that's not even to speak of like the Robert Osters and the Bookbinders and the other stuff that's come out recently. I think they've got a lot of competition. The second part of RoboJim's question is Pilot becoming complacent? And I have to say probably. Look, Pilot, I know you're watching because why wouldn't a massive, huge brand care what a tiny blogger has to say? I think they are a little bit complacent. I mean, you've got Robert Oster, who's got like 70 inks now in the space of like a year. And they're all, I mean, the ones I've used are all pretty awesome. And you've got Irishizuku, which to my memory, and correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, I might be wrong about this, but to my memory, the last ink they put out was actually just a black. And that was like a solid year ago or so, maybe more. They're not keeping up with the Joneses, man. They are not like giving the kids what they want, which is more ink. I mean, on the other hand, look, they don't have to because people still love the variety of ink that Irishizuku has. But are they keeping up? No, they're not. They've got the same ink line. They haven't added anything. So it seems a little bit complacent to me. On the other hand, of course, they don't need to because they're pilot and they don't have to do that if they don't want to. All right, Chewbacca has a few questions for me here. What percentage of inks have you bought versus had provided for review? And I don't really know the precise answer to this. I don't have a spreadsheet set up that would tell me this easily. If I look in my ink drawer, a lot of my ink samples are probably provided for review. Probably, I don't know, half of them, I suppose. Yeah, probably something like that. I've been working on ink spreadsheet, and I'll put a thing in the comments that'll show you where to find like my collection of ink and a bunch of other people's collections. You can add your collections too. It's a very cool spreadsheet that was set up by this dude in the Slack channel. But I've got something like 500 inks already cataloged. That's not all of them. I've still got a bunch more to do. And most of them are samples. Like I've got about 100-ish bottles, but the vast majority are samples, and probably half of those are something like provided by a company, probably provided by Anderson Pens. Honestly, they've been very generous with the ink samples, and thanks to Brian and Lisa for keeping me in ink samples, more ink samples than I know what to do with sometimes. Like all the Robert Oasters, Lisa said, "Oh, I have a bag of inks for you," and she handed me this giant bag. She's like, "Those are Robert Oasters." I'm like, "And what?" She's like, "Oh no, that's just that he has 50 of them, and this is the first round." I'm like, holy crap! So I've got a lot, and a lot of them are provided for a review, but I'm not really worried about the sheer number because I don't think I can be bought with a mere ink sample, and Brian and Lisa Anderson don't think I can be bought with an ink sample. Scott Franklin doesn't think I can be bought with an ink sample. Jet Pens, Pen Chalet, Apple Boom, as far as I'm aware, none of them think that I'm just going to Kenro. None of them think I'm just going to give them a good review because they sent me a bottle of ink. Not going to happen. And in fact, very few bottles are actually provided for review. I have 1, 2, 4, maybe like 4 of them. Not very many. I don't really ask for bottles. That's a big ask for a vendor, I think. And I'd rather just take samples because that's all I really need to do for ink review. Second question. Aside from your Panther 40, what's your favorite workhorse pen? And it actually took me a little while thinking about what the workhorse pens would be like. And I think they're probably going to have to be pens you can just throw in a pocket, pens that work all the time, and pens that you enjoy using for long stretches of time because of your workhorse pen. And so I have a few, and these are all metal-bodied pens. Of course, there are other ones that I carry in my pocket all the time, like my Franklin Christoph 45, Franklin Christoph 20s go with me a lot, my Sailor 1911s. I don't know if I want to call them workhorse pens just because they're a little bit pricier, but so firstly, this one I think is one that doesn't get enough play or enough praise. This is the Monteverde Vinsia Deluxe. This is the all stainless steel version. I got this from Anderson Pens, I don't know, a couple years ago. It has an Anderson Pens nib on it. The pen body of this pen is great. Even people who aren't big pen people get to the end of the twist and there's like a little just like clink. It's awesome. I find myself playing with it. It's not an expensive pen. And the nibs are a little bit dodgy sometimes. Monteverde, admittedly, does not have the best nibs. However, it's a number 6 size nib. You can throw a Yovo nib in here. You can throw whatever you want in this thing for number 6. And there are a million number 6 nibs out there. Anderson Pens has them. Goulet has them. Franklin Christoph pens are mostly number 6s. So a lot of nibs available. You can throw gold nibs in here if you want. There's nothing stopping you. Heck, you can throw a Franklin Christoph gold flex nib in there if you want. It'd be kind of weird, but you could do it. Secondly, this one right here, we'll talk about this one. This is the Shaffer Javelin. This is another metal-bodied pen. This is solid aluminum. Has a sort of a grippy rubber grip section. It's very comfortable to write with. No slippage at all. Nice nibs. This is actually given to me by a friend. I've got 3 of these. This is a fine nib. I've got a couple of mediums. It's got a nice articulated clip. I love them all. And if you can find one of these, they're not made anymore, but you can find one at a show or an eBay or something like that, pick it up. It's awesome. Lastly, this one, which people will recognize probably, this is the Rotring. This is actually a Newton. It is some people call it the Newton 600 or the 600 Newton, or even just the Rotring 600, although this isn't technically a 600. These are great pens, and if you can find one at a reasonable price, which is getting harder. I got this one when I was in graduate school. I got it from, I remember buying it at the Water Tower at a Levenger store inside a Macy's. So it was a Water Tower, which is basically a big mall, with a Macy's, with Levenger, and then I found this pen, and I had no money at that point in life. And this was probably like 12 years ago, and this pen doesn't have a scratch on it. Well, maybe one scratch. But there's no way I spent like more than $50 because I was broke. And I remember this was an extravagance, but it's one that I had wanted for a long time and it was on clearance. So, if you can find one for a good price, but I think that a workhorse pen needs to be tough, and those are tough. So there you go. Favorite guilty pleasure TV show? I don't know. I don't really feel guilty about the shows that I watch for the most part. I like stupid superhero shows, like the ones on like the DC shows, like I don't know. I'm kind of like trying to work through Arrow. I'm not a huge fan most of the time. Flash was kind of fun. Supergirl is actually kind of fun once you get past the first several. Legends of Tomorrow, I don't even feel bad. I'll watch that one. It's goofy and dumb, but I like it. The things that I think probably people would say you should feel ashamed, shame, are things like I like watching The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. I like watching Dancing with the Stars. I don't know why. I think they're enjoyable. It's almost appointment viewing for Audrey and I. I don't think neither of us are really ashamed. No, not ashamed. So not guilty, but pleasurable. I just like watching the interactions between these people who think they need to go on TV to find love. It's absurd most of the time, but whatever. I like it. Let's see. And lastly, also from Chewbacca, and this is an ink question to end it out. What's your favorite RO that is Robert Oster ink that is not a blue? Good question, Chewbacca. I use a lot of Robert Oster blue inks, as you know, of course. But here are a few that are definitely worth trying. You should check them out, and they're not blue. So first, a very not blue is Robert Oster chocolate. It is a beautiful, like, reddish brown that's got it looks like dark milk chocolate. It is a beautiful color. I'm really digging it. I've got it in a big 1.1 stub, and I like it. So check that one out for sure. Hey, what are you doing? Sorry, cat being weird. Secondly, try out Robert Oster's green lime or lime green. It says green lime, I think, on my sample, but I don't know which way it goes. But green and lime, put those two together and it's very good. It's a very nice green. It's darker than Sublime, which I think is actually a little bit too light. So check that one out. And here's a last one, which is kind of, here, quick kick on my tripod, weirdo. Here, you want to be on camera? This is my fat cat, Kitty Purry. Here, Katy Perry, you're on my shoulder. And lastly, check out the Robert Oster Hippo Purple from Squishy Ink. She is a big fan of hippos. You can find that story online, but she had Robert Oster make this ink that is basically the same color as hippos. Hippos are kind of some weird mix of brown, purple, and gray, it seems to me, and this ink catches it. It's great. It looks like you're writing with hippos, and I like it a lot. So check that one out when you get a chance. It is awesome. Totally worth it. Works in a ton of pens. I've got it in like 3 pens right now. I need to stop, but I can't. Can't stop. So those are great Robert Osters that are not, pardon me, not even a little bit blue. So check those out. All right, so that's it. That's all the cues that I'm going to A for now. I am out of time. This is a cat right here. She wants to get down, so I'm going to let her. I will see y'all later on. Peace out. And hey, if you like what I've got going on here, then please check out these videos over here on the left-hand side. YouTube will tell you what it is you want to see. Also, hit that like button, hit those subscribe buttons, leave me a comment, and if you're feeling real awesome, go to that patreon.com, become a patron, and help support the blog with your monthly donation of $1, $10, $500, whatever you want to do. Anyway, see you later. Peace out.